Greetings, students. Welcome to your last Keywords and Concepts video for Chapter 2. So as we move into ethical considerations when we're doing experiments, we learned about the Institutional Review Board, the bane of any researcher's existence if you live in science land. An Institutional Review Board is a committee of individuals tasked with reviewing literally any experiment involving humans. Whether you're asking them questions or doing experiments on them does not matter. You have to go before this board. They have extraordinarily strict rules. And we're learning last week and this week why they have extraordinarily strict rules, right? The goal being to make sure that none of the humans are harmed in making the research, because that's not a goal. We don't want to harm the humans when we're making the research. And one of the ways that we do that is through informed consent. So informed consent provides a written description. Written's important here. There's a sample form actually in your textbook. A written description of what participants can expect during the experiment. Basically what you're signing up for. This includes any kind of risks or implications of the research that may not make people happy. They also have to tell them that their involvement is completely voluntary and they can leave at any time. That's a really important one, particularly for this week. So that's informed consent. And then finally, two more concepts here that we learned a little bit about last week, but now we understand why there are formal rules about them, don't we? And that's deception. So sometimes we have to lie to people to study them properly, right? And that's what deception is. You're purposefully misleading people in a participant in a study so that you can maintain the integrity of the experiment. If you tell people what they're doing, you're not necessarily going to get the results you want out of them, right? But you cannot deceive people to a point where it could be considered harmful, right? You can't hurt people. This isn't a thing where you're just allowed to torture folks. And part of the way that we make sure that this will not harm people is through a process called debriefing. And debriefing is when you basically, after the experiment has been completed, after the participant is done, the researcher brings them back and tells them everything they're actually doing. So this is honest information about the purpose of the experiment, how the data will be collected and used, why they needed to deceive them, and information about how to learn more about the study now that they're done with it. So those two things have to be coupled together. If you do a deception study, you do need to have debriefing afterward to make sure that the people who were involved in the study fully understand all the implications of having been in the study. So that is the end of Keywords and Concepts for this week, guys. Well done.